Drew McIntyre might have never drew a dime in his life, but he's drawing a bigger picture because he knows CM Punk is the real draw. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Is it Drew? Is it draw? Who cares? But Drew McIntyre knows that CM Punk is the draw. He knows that he is the main man, and he was putting over CM Punk. And when you compare this to the recent interview that Chris Jericho did for AEW, where he says that Adam Copeland coming in wasn't a big deal, and that Punk leaving wasn't a big deal, and it was business as usual. You've got Chris Jericho basically just putting down AEW, and then you have Drew McIntyre here trying to hype up WWE, trying to hype up WWE's latest signing. But when it comes to AEW and their major acquisition of Adam Copeland, Jericho came out and said it wasn't a big deal. It was business as usual. And I think that shows you the major contrasting difference here between these companies and how wrestlers from each promotion here handle their business. Despite the likes of Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins not liking CM Punk and not necessarily wanting Punk back in the company, they could admit that he is a big draw. They could admit that he brings a lot of eyes to the product, and they could admit that working with him might be beneficial to their careers, despite not liking them. But when Adam Copeland goes to AEW and Moxley, Jericho actually came out and said it wasn't a big deal. He said it was just business as usual, and that's crazy that Jericho would come out and say that and just downplay the impact that these big signings are having on AEW. Even if these signings didn't have a big impact, they were supposed to. That's the reason they were brought in. Adam Copeland was supposed to have a major impact on AEW. So for Jericho just to come out and say business as usual, signing Adam Copeland, this isn't some guy from Ring of Honor that they brought in. They signed fucking Edge, a 12-time WWE champion, a WWE Hall of Famer, and Jericho downplayed it as business as usual. But Drew McIntyre is not downplaying CM Punk as business as usual. He says that Punk is a huge draw, and when speaking with Mick Foley on WWE's The Bump, this is what Drew McIntyre had to say about the best in the world returning to WWE. Quote, "I obviously recognise he's big for business. He's a huge name. He draws a lot of eyeballs, and that's very clear when you just look at the numbers. I'm a bigger picture person. I tend to use that chronology degree and look at beyond all reasonable doubt, look at the evidence, and I'm not going to go into great details right now because now is not the time. But what I said on Raw is there are so few people on the current roster that have been on the same roster as him for years, and I signed when I was 22. I was actually 21 when I signed, but when I was on television, I was 22 in 2007. I spent years. I was around the person. I know the person. I know what he's truly like. I'm aware. It's cool. It does numbers. That's awesome. For right now, I'm going to wait and see right now because I can't control who gets signed and who doesn't. I have stories. I'm going to keep them to myself, and in the future, if we cross paths, I ain't the same guy I was in 2010. I'm a lot bigger, smarter, more experienced, and I'll drop his ass." End of quote. So that's what Drew McIntyre had to say on The Bump about CM Punk, and then he basically insinuated that if CM Punk gets in his way or gives him any shit, then he will give CM Punk a literal bump. So not too sure what Drew McIntyre's going at here. He thinks that he would beat up CM Punk in a fight. I mean, he might. He's bigger, he's taller, he weighs more, but I mean, CM Punk's got that MMA background, you know, that successful UFC career, so I don't know if Drew McIntyre should be counting his chickens before they hatch. But regardless of who would win a fight between Punk and McIntyre, I think this goes to show the respect and the professionalism that guys like McIntyre and Rollins have to at least some extent, that they come out and they put over the fact that CM Punk is a big deal. They put over the fact that he is a draw and that he does bring eyes to the product despite the fact that they don't like him. And you can just see this kind of shit doesn't happen in AEW. In AEW, it's just everybody like fighting for that same spot, everybody trying to hold each other back, whereas in WWE, even though McIntyre and Rollins know that Punk's the bigger draw, it's like they're not going to outright bury the guy because he is signed to WWE now. He's a WWE guy, so they're not going to like stab the company in the back. But they, you know, they will make it clear that they don't like him, but they will respect what he's achieved and respect what he brings. So I think it just goes to show that, just in a company sense, that WWE is in a much better place than AEW, because I think everyone in WWE, they have respect for each other, they have respect for the company that they work in, and they want to make the WWE better. And that means working with the people in the company. But you look at AEW and it's just all about me. Everybody is out for themselves. And CM Punk said it perfectly in that post-scrum when he says, Tony Khan makes him work with fucking children, and that's exactly what the Elite, that's exactly what Chris Jericho in fact is becoming, a little childish little bitch that kisses Tony Khan's ass 24/7. So yeah, Drew McIntyre, you know, you haven't been champion in a long time, and don't worry, CM Punk's back, so you probably won't be champion for a lot longer. Catch you in the next one, guys. Let us know your thoughts down below. Till next time, peace.